If you want to give reparations, uplift my community. Take off the systemic racism. Okay?
Yeah, I feel like
Advance my people.
yeah, the dollar is fine and all, but at some point, it's just gonna go in our hands, and everybody gonna have their own wants.
Right. They're
At
going
that
to go to
point,
Amazon. Amazon,
bruh,
no.
not Amazon.
My people didn't build this country for no
For
Amazon
not no
packages.
Amazon.
For real.
For real though, like
Yeah.
man, and I'm not calling people selfish, but people look at what they need first
Right,
before they
right.
think about what's beneficial for everybody. Because we, at some point, everybody was placed in a box where they was looked at as animals. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's deeper than just getting a dollar, bro.
Give us our 40 acres in the mill.
Yeah.
That'll help.
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another American reaction.
Yes.
Super excited about this video, guys. If you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit that subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 100K. And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Middle ground is a social experiment that brings humans with opposing beliefs or experiences together. These discussions may contain viewpoints that are the result of misinformation. Remember to seek out experts and to be critical of your own biases while forming an opinion. Please see the humanity in each participant, and as always, we encourage empathy.
Man, we need a content warning thing like that.
Okay, we can make that happen.
Yes, we need that for these conversations. Because, yeah. Sometimes people will come on the comment section, they'll be like, maybe you should have researched it first.
Okay, yeah.
This is not the Demouchets research. This is the Demouchets react.
This is not the Demouchets discover, understand, and then react. This is us react, understand, and then go learn it more with other researchers.
Right. We are
It's brought to our attention.
It's brought to us, and we're sharing our perspectives based on our life experiences. Okay? So
it's a relatable, open discussion.
Yes.
100%.
So we wanted to do this. We saw this in the reaction request. We was like, judging by the title, should we do this? Because it's not our lived experiences, but because the community and the family that we have on this channel is all about inclusivity, positivity, unity, and learning of other cultures and other people's life experiences and perspectives. We felt we had to do it. It's controversial. It is. But let's be respectful of other people and let's learn from each other. We gonna get this content warning for these debates and stuff. Because, baby, y'all be going off.
Time to clear the air. Clear the air.
Two things can be true. You can have had a very hard time. Privilege is not just limited to white people, but to say white privilege doesn't exist from a historical context, to me, is respectfully absurd.
Woo! Judging just off of that clip. There's about to be some fire.
Some heat.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. White people also experience racism.
I believe that.
I think racism is definitely not a one race against the other. It goes all ways. It doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Asian, doesn't matter. You could experience racism no matter what color your skin is.
I think that people have a propensity to kind of have an aversion towards what's different from them. I've been called a cracker before. I've been told I was going to get beaten up because I was white. I would argue that on a systemic level, white people don't experience racism the same way a lot of other races experience racism. But I would say on an individual level, any group is capable of being racist towards another group as well.
So the argument against this position frequently is that racism is a system, not a sentiment in the United States. And I agree with that really strongly, but at the same time I'm Jewish and racially white and have definitely experienced racism, discrimination. The paradox is that most of that racism is coming from white people or European society, white nationalism, etc., that's directed at Jews.
Wow.
So I'm Dane, and I'm Jewish. I'm proud of being Jewish and being connected to an ancient religion and culture, but I'm not proud to be white, I would say. White privilege, I think, is an aspect of American society. I think it exists. When I go to a job interview, I don't have to worry about my hairstyle or the way I normally speak or my name. And that's something perhaps a black person would have to worry about.
Can the disagreeer step forward?
Okay.
So I just want to say that I want to validate everyone's individual experiences. I do also believe that white people experience bias, prejudice, but the reason I did not step forward is because, by definition, racism is tied to power and economics. You talked about systemic discrimination. I don't feel white people experience racism by definition and by actual concept.
What is the definition of racism and who wrote that definition?
In the late 1500s, early 1600s, there was slavery. They started bringing over slaves, but there was really no concept of classifying people in terms of race. It's just we're bringing these people over and they're slaves. What ended up happening is some of the slave owners who were white started mixing with some of the slaves. And now here you have these black people that look like the people that are owning things. So they're like, whoa. The theory of race was formed to classify a group of people who would be lesser than and have less economic power, and this would be imposed against them for hundreds of years. So that has not been the white experience in this country, but it does not invalidate the things that white people experience. It's just not racism by definition. Is it prejudice? Is it bias? Is it wrong?
I completely understand.
That was a different breakdown.
That was a different breakdown.
Yes,
I completely understand where she's coming from, but because I have personally seen it with my eyes, I have seen racism on both sides. Of course, I have seen it against my own people, but I have also seen it against white people as well. I'm from the South. Our our state was known as one of the places of a lot of racial things happening.
Right.
So even today, during my times, the time I've been living, I have seen hate crimes against them as well.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I think her points were very solid.
Yeah, it was.
Like, there was a point where people wasn't focused on race. You know what I'm saying? And then whenever the transition happened, and then they start to intertwine with one another, and then they start to see that who looks like me, but in a different tone, is starting to be in a bracket like myself. So let's create racism and try to separate the two.
Yeah,
all that is solid.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't think that, like you said, I think that people still go through that racism. Right. It doesn't matter about your race or where you at or what level of success you at. People are going through that because if I go through an experience, I've seen people go through the same, of opposite race, go through the same experience with just the different terms that fits their character. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So on a systemic level, I don't believe that they have it. But individual, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's classes. There's different class brackets, and I feel it. Yeah.
The same way we get called derogatory names where we're from, they get called that. There's people who just genuinely just don't like them.
They have sundown towns,
right?
And they have hoods. They cannot go in.
Well, the sundown towns, we can go in it.
No.
2023.
Jesus, listen. Let me try to explain it better than that. I understand what the result of a sundown town is, but still, at the end of the day, there are some blocks that, like, there's some dead end roads that they know. Yeah. Like, come on, man. Like, why is David back there? First of all, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and he's like, there's a chance that someone is already out there scoping the scene. He's noticing the cars made, and things happens quickly. So I feel like, though the results may kind of vary on each side, there's still times that, like, you just wouldn't be poking your head around there. You know what I'm saying? Because you know what the outcome could be. And why? Because it's kind of based off of territory, racism, power, economics, class, you know, all that.
All of it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And
we in the mix now, y'all.
We're in the mix. But we're going to respect everybody's opinion as long
100%.
as it's stated respectfully. That's all we ask of everyone.
All right, that disclaimer she was talking about earlier is still in front of the screen.
Yeah.
Just envision it.
Envision it.
Yes.
Mine is simple. If one person treats another person differently because of the color of their skin, to me, that's racism. I will tell you that I was stopped by the police plenty of times when I was a young man. And I will also tell you that I then decided to spend 35 years as a policeman. I'll tell you that I stopped lots of kids coming home from school. Depending on who it was that I stopped, the first thing out of their mouth would be, "You only stopped me because I'm black." And I would say, "You're driving a sports car with a back window that's this big. I can't see who's driving, and I stopped you because you're doing 95 and a 55. I had no idea who I was pulling over until I stopped you. Now, if I treat you differently because you're black, then I'm a racist. But if I write you the same ticket that I was going to write you before I knew who was behind the wheel, I'm not."
So I'm glad you used that example, and I want to commend you for your service for our country. But I do want to say, because I've actually taught classes for the LAPD and for their cadets about these issues. But what I can say, which is a statistic, and which is also a fact, is that 60% of our prison population is African American.
Different issue.
Yes, but let me finish, please. Is African American males, right? When you go into a system and you are kept in that system and you're cycled through probation and there is a systematic sequence of oppression, that's not happening to white males. So it's bigger than just the stop itself. It's the system. My name is Sierra. I'm an actor, a speaker, and a human rights activist. I'm very proud to be African American, to be black. The challenges that come with being black, also being a black woman, are very real. I'm at a place in my life where I'm acknowledging these things are real, discrimination is real, the systematic oppression of black people is very real, but I will succeed in spite of that.
The police force is foundationally racist.
Ooh,
foundationally. She used that word. You gotta step.
Foundationally.
You know what I'm saying?
How it was created.
I mean, we can go on
Why
that
it
one.
was created.
Why was it created? And when you say foundation, is everybody who built this platform was using it for the right cause when they created it. And I know this can be a very hot topic in the comic section because it's the police force. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't look.
But
Don't start.
right, and it goes back to what she said. If you look into the system, there's a higher percentage of black men. So it's like, yeah. So we're gonna let them. We're gonna let them do their thing.
Foundationally, they didn't say it is. They said foundationally.
They went to the root. What is it built on?
That was I had a paper on that in college. Woo.
All right, now.
I want to start off by saying I don't think that every cop out there today is racist. I think there are a lot of them who are really doing good work. What I know from the establishment of the policing in the United States, that is directly from the slave catchers who were hired to catch runaway slaves and bring them back home.
Yeah, I agree that all cops aren't racist. I had plenty of interactions with police that were fine, but I was told by a former police officer who was, a cop who decided he didn't want to do that anymore, that, the training is pretty much specialized for only colored people, especially black people, that if you're around them, they're the most dangerous, so you have to act in certain situations or react in certain situations,
I think I just really want to emphasize that I really think that there are some officers who are white that don't even believe that they're doing anything that may be racially motivated because they're simply doing what they were taught to do.
I come from a police family, and I like to add they do offer diversity trainings in the academy. So either it needs to be more extensive, or maybe we need to take it a step back and fix the selection process. Both. Because that process could be inherently racist. Hello, my name is Nia, and I am black. I'm proud of my race because when I look back historically at what people of my heritage have gone through, and to see where we are now, it's remarkable, and it definitely pushes me to continue to be resilient and innovative as they were.
I would like to hear what they have to say, the ones who don't agree.
Historically, people formed groups, villages. Some people were hunters, some people were farmers, and then you had whoever was going to protect the group. And over hundreds of years, thousands of years, whatever it is, that's how we wind up having cops, firemen, armies, and navies.
Oh, we need to
Community
go back
policing as a theory is a good idea. As a practice, it has some hiccups. When I show up at your house because you and your husband got into it and he beats you up and I'm friends with him. So do I want to take him to jail? He's my friend. Or I live in the same neighborhood and I go deal with some guy who's a really bad dude and he says, I know where you live, I know where your kids are. So to some degree, we have to have a little separation. This is going to get into a hot button topic, but I will tell you that, when I watched the horrible video of George Floyd, I will tell you that I can justify many of the things that happened, but I cannot justify 9 minutes on his neck or back. But what I can also tell you is I, as a policeman, and this is my personal opinion only too, the officer who was on him for 9 minutes, he probably spent too much time in the same neighborhood dealing with the same problems over and over again that he became jaded.
Isn't that what being a police officer is?
Yeah. It's a social service job.
And you're assigned to that district or that community.
But I think you need to move around so that you get to see other things. You don't become that jaded.
The police, no matter what your race is, we have to be integrated all together with the community. And it doesn't have to be community policing, but we all have to understand each other more. I think cultural competency would be very helpful. Like, that's my issue. Whether or not the foundations of the police force was or still was racist, now we can change that, but it starts with cops. Like, at the end of the day, it's the bad police officers that are our issue. Not all police officers, but the bad police officers, we need to vet them out, and the good police officers, we need to, encourage them to be amongst the community.
How do we vet them out?
By making the police unions accountable, because I feel like that demographic of officers, they're actually making things a lot worse for the other officers that are actually just trying to do their job. I think that we need to get some type of real accountability that I don't think the police should be policing themselves. So when those cops that aren't upholding their oath, they can be properly removed instead of getting all of these passes.
The bad police officers, I hate the term the bad apple. It's like, no, you're a faulty grenade. Like, you're ruining your whole department reputation. I feel like I was held up to higher standards working at Whole Foods sometimes. I got 3 chances out, but Derek had so many.
17 reports before George Floyd.
17 reports. It's like, get him out of there. What are you guys doing?
Do you think police officers, and I genuinely am curious, do you think they should get paid more?
I think police officers should get paid more. I also think police officers should do less. Why do I get sent to all of the mental health cases? Why do I get sent to all of these things? Now, I'll tell you why I get sent to them, is because we'll stop sending the police there, and then something horrible and tragic is going to happen, and they're going to say, why didn't we have a cop there?
Do you think we need to have...
Just like they call cops to assist CPS workers and social workers, they need to send healthcare professionals who know how to work with mental care patients. Send an escort with them if that's the problem. But they need to be in the background. They don't need to be the person handling the person who needs the help. That right there, nah. They need to... Look, that's a sensitive topic because, Tatiana Jefferson is still on my mind. Ooh.
Different divisions like mental health and just other,
And just for reference, Tatiana Jefferson was not a mental care patient, a person in need of help. That was a welfare check. They don't even need to be sent there for welfare checks. They just need something. Stop being personal, Sierra. Sorry, y'all.
You okay?
Or maybe even specific police that are just for the schools. Like, do you think that that would help with a lot of the issues?
No. We do have specialized police officers in certain things. But if we keep specializing and we get so compartmentalized that I can't go, I'm right across the street from you when you're screaming for help. Yeah. That's not what I do. Got to go find the guy that deals with screaming women or whatever.
Or maybe train them all in the department. I mean, when you work at a job, they alternate you. Right, because I worked at a job where I did one position, and then I had to learn another position, then I had to learn another position, then I had to learn another position, and then whenever the new people came in, I was fit to train them in all departments. So I feel like if you was trained when you came onto the job, how to handle mental health situations, hate crime situations, abuse with relationship situations, and you have that underneath your belt, you don't have to necessarily be over that department instantly whenever, you know what I'm saying, like, well, what I'm trying to say is that when you get that phone call, you should be able to handle it if there's someone else to do the job.
Right.
Instead of saying, I'm not fit for it. Or I'm not mentally capable for this type. Or I have an anger issue, so I shouldn't be over here. And that's just how it go because they want to be so quick to raise everyone's pay. But then, are they really qualified for every department that y'all being able to allow them to just be assistant in?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like it has to be more trainings. It has to be, it just because I want to go become a police officer, I shouldn't be able to make it through the program.
Right.
It needs to be more than what it has been. It needs to be more levels to this.
I agree. It has to be because that's a very sensitive job. You got a cape on.
Right. I've even seen where some of the cars don't even say to protect and serve anymore. And I'm like, I remember being a kid and actually looking for that and the police officer because at school they teach you about the different the different people in our neighborhoods, and the children love the cars and things like that. So that used to be something that I truly liked until my uncle went through police brutality, and that changed my whole mind frame.
It is. My name is Jimmy, and I am a retired police officer. I'm not going to tell you that there are no racists on the police department. I don't think blacks were historically treated fairly under the law. I think that we have made great progress, great strides. I think we have to continue to get better, but I also think we probably see racism to this day in places where it maybe isn't.
I sometimes wish I was a different race.
I'd say not so much these days, but definitely 100% when I was a kid, I wish I was white. I grew up with my white mom. I didn't see my black side of my family after a certain point. I grew up in a small town. I was often the only student of color, definitely the only black kid. And I had this kinky hair. I couldn't figure out how to work with it. And everybody also would call me an Oreo. It was always just being othered. And so being a kid, you just want to fit in. And for me, I wanted to be white. I just wanted to look like my mom, wanted the nice straight hair. And I just wanted to feel like included.
I remember in elementary school, I was thinking, no man is ever gonna like me because I freaking look like this. And I just remember hating my hair because as soon as puberty hit, it just blew up, and people kept on asking, do you even need a pillow to sleep at night? I'm like, I can't stand these questions. I can't do this. I'm Jordan, and I am biracial. I think being biracial is definitely living in the in-between, because culturally, yes, I grew up white, and I completely know that. I was raised by my white mother, but then there's also a part where race is perceived, and it's what people put on you and how they respond to you in your everyday life.
Listening to people who are biracial, their perspectives is always interesting to me, because especially when they were not raised with both parents, to know both cultures. Because it's always like they're yearning for identity and they deal with identity crisis more than we know.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like their voices need to be heard more.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah, like that's interesting.
They do play an important role. You know what I'm saying? Especially in society when you have racism, when you have colorism, when you have people that want to be classified in different groups. They play a very, very important role.
Yeah, so that was interesting. Wow, like
it was her saying that I believe she said she grew up more on her mom's side, which she was white, but then her hair didn't do what her mom hair did.
Right.
So I can only imagine, you know what I'm saying, that relationship, and mom's not pretty much annoying. Like, how I'm supposed to handle this?
Yeah, and that wasn't during the day of TikTok.
Oh,
where you see the white moms who have biracial children getting on TikTok asking the people, okay, so how I braid?
Right.
Yeah.
So I can, and then she would go in class, and it sounded like she was in a school where it's mostly white folk. You know what I'm saying? So I can see exactly what happened there. I can see what happened.
Oh, Lord.
It's so interesting because I grew up in predominantly non-Black communities, and for some reason still, like, being the minority at home in the family as well as in school and in the world, I was always so proud to be Black. I actually really yearned to be around other Black people. So thankfully in college that was an experience where even though we made up a small community.
You know what I like?
What's that, baby?
Knowing biracial people who grew up without the Black side of their family, and they decide to go to a HBCU. Because after that experience, maybe they're cultured.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, well, I ain't gonna say what they say, but you know what they say.
But they find themselves.
They do.
The selves that they have been yearning for.
Yeah.
That's always nice to see.
I was still able to, okay, this is like people that look like me.
I was in the military for 6 years. And I was usually the only Jew in my battalion. And I think that isolation produced a sort of pride and understanding of who I am and where I come from. So
I have never wanted to be anything different than what I was, but that's because I really never thought about it. And to your all's point, maybe, I don't know, but maybe people treated you that way because there is this sense of wanting something that I haven't ever had before. I'd love to have a Lamborghini. You know what I mean? It's different than any other car I've ever had. It's different than what I grew up with.
I think personally for me, I mean, I was actually adopted by white parents in very diverse family. I think 6 out of the 8 of us are all adopted, all different races. I kind of have my own story apart from everyone else. And the same for everyone else that was adopted in my family. They have their own story. I always had pride in it, but at the same time, my parents no matter the color of their skin. It's the people who raised me, and they raised me just to not look at it through the lens of race, and that's what I've always done, and I've never wanted to change my race at all. I'm Joshua, and I'm Black. I've never experienced racism. I've experienced stuff from people from my own race. I grew up in a white family by white parents. I was constantly called whitewashed. It upset me, but I didn't let it get to me. Being Black in America, to me, is just being an American in America, just like any other person.
White privilege exists.
Everybody.
Come up.
Everybody.
I mean, America was founded by white people, for white people at the time. All of the institutions were designed to benefit white people. So, I mean, of course, white privilege lingers into society today. You can't deny that.
Where I would argue with you just a little bit is I think we throw out the term white privilege far too often for things that aren't necessarily white privilege.
I've got to agree with you completely on that one. I think there's generational white privilege for sure, but I think now it's almost used as a reason to not try as hard. If we stop doing that, just really like work for it and not use white privilege as an excuse, then we could really get somewhere as in the Black community.
That is the problem I have. I feel like people, when we get to talking about white privilege, people would think that we're not trying so hard, or we're just giving up, or we're just lazy. I will be the first one to tell you right now when it what, babe?
No, go ahead.
When it comes to my husband and myself and our family, there's no amount of white privilege that has ever stopped us for reaching for the sky and going for our goals or getting anything in life. White privilege has not ever stopped us from getting ahead.
We don't use white privilege as an indicator that there's a door in front of us that's locked.
Yeah, we gotta turn
around. And we can't get in. Like, that's not the phrase that is supposed to be looked upon. It's more so it's like there's a line of people in front of us that get access before we can potentially say, now it's my turn.
Right,
so we have to try to step out the line and do things and work 10 times harder in that sense. And I mean, that's what it is. I don't think how he explained it's supposed to ever be looked at like that.
Not at all. There is a strong difference between equality and equity.
Yeah, when black people say white privilege exists, we're not saying that we don't have, like, it's not that. It's not that. That we need to work. Like, what do you say? Because he kind of lost me when he said
we need to work as hard.
Oh, we can't use it as an excuse to say that we need to work harder.
Child,
I don't know. He said
it
something
just
like
messed
that.
me up so bad.
Yeah, hold on. Take him back a little bit.
If we stop doing that, just really like work for it and not use white privilege as an excuse, then we could really.
It's kind of like you saying we're lazy.
Right.
It's like we give it up.
Why would we give up?
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we're not giving
because
up.
we're using that as an excuse to say, oh well, they did it, we can't, like, type of energy. Like, it's never that.
Never. It's just we don't have any privilege. We have to work twice as harder.
And sometimes it's not even about what you know, it's who you know. You know what I'm saying? So you be in certain locations and you have that right buddy on side you and you get to walk in with them. But then you have your other buddy with you on side you and you got to get patted down. So it's different. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you to all of our white friends who have
100%
allowed us to use your white privilege to help us in some type
White
of
folk
way.
even say they know they have that and they use it to their advantage. Seriously, they know how to get out of a ticket.
You know what was so beautiful? I don't remember if I showed you this or not. I ran across a video of people in a white neighborhood holding a Black Lives Matter march, and there was not a single black person screaming Black Lives Matter, and we didn't even know it was going on.
Needed and push that though.
That's white privilege, a form of it. Because, you know, y'all be like, well, technically, a form of it.
Lord.
Okay.
Somewhere in the black community.
I would respectfully disagree. Like, all of that is true to an extent. Like, I graduated university during the pandemic, the height of it. I went abroad for university. I got 2 degrees. I graduated with honors. Learned to speak 2 languages. I should have been able to get a job right away, right? No. It took me 9 months before I was able to get a job. Had to go completely outside of my field. But then when I looked at all of my white colleagues who were in my program, all of them were hired immediately.
I need to introduce you to my daughter. She's white. Took her a long time.
And I'm not saying that. I'm saying
and
just
she didn't get her job in what her degree is in either.
I respect that, but my point is saying me comparing myself to the white students who were directly in my position, they're successful, I'm not.
This country was founded upon white people coming and then putting in act Jim Crow and other laws saying that if you are not white,
say that twice.
You are genetically inferior. You are not even a person. And some of those laws are still, and those systems are still in place today. 2 things can be true. You can have had a very hard time. Privilege is not just limited to white people, but to say white privilege doesn't exist from a historical context, to me, is respectfully absurd.
Something that I learned about recently is the privilege that exists in the medical field, specifically relating to the birthing process in giving epidurals. There was a study that's recently, or was debunked, that said that Black people have a higher tolerance for pain, which then has been falsely used by people who help support births in being hesitant to provide the epidurals for Black women giving birth. A lot of women die in childbirth. I don't know the exact statistics. So
3 times more likely Black women are to die.
Thank you. The fact that I will be taken seriously more seriously than a black woman in my place if I should be giving birth at some point. I see that as just an absolute privilege. My name is Bryn, and I just graduated.
That right there, that fact right there is the reason I had my third baby at home and under the care of midwives. My entire team, birth team, was not a black birth team. It was a diverse birth team.
Yeah,
but these women knew my position. And the reason I chose the birthing center that I chose was because when I went through, that was a big concern of mine. I live in Texas. Okay? I don't want to die. We're in the height of a pandemic. When I went through the, the orientation for the birthing center, I was the only black woman in the orientation. And the midwife, it was one of the founders, she started talking about the statistics about black women dying during childbirth. She didn't have to bring that up at all. She didn't know my race before she turned on the Zoom, because we was on Zoom because of the pandemic. She didn't know my race. But the fact that she brought that up and read my mind is why I chose the birth team that I chose. That's really real. I had 2 very bad experiences where the people I was paying to help me deliver my child was not listening to me and what I was feeling. That I try not to be so personal.
Nah, that's dead on the nail though.
The fact that she brought that up.
And I didn't expect her to even come out and say that.
Right.
That was a real big icebreaker.
Right.
Yeah.
Being a person who experienced the difference.
Graduated, and I'm currently gaining hours to becoming a licensed therapist.
Nice.
As a therapist in school, we were taught to approach things with what's called cultural humility. Cultural humility is being curious, and instead of trying to have all the answers, working collaboratively with the client to kind of understand where they're coming from.
I have been fetishized for my race.
Tried. They tried.
You know, the standard one, oh, you're pretty for a black girl. I'm like, that's not a compliment. That's so weird to say. And like one of the go-to pickup lines for men, they're like, oh my God, what are you? I'm like, this is not cute. I'm tired of having this conversation. This is lame. Yes, I know I have green eyes, hazel eyes. Like, let's move on.
I think black women in particular are just extremely sexualized and fetishized. Every day I go out, I'm making sure that my outfit is, okay, because I don't want to draw certain attention. The way I wear my hair, if it's in an afro, if it's in puffs, if it's in braids, I'm going to get treated differently. Every single day something happens.
So there's a form of positive anti-Semitism where Jews are perceived as like being put together, coming from money, being doctors, lawyers, and women are attracted to those sort of things. And then also too, like all Jewish men are circumcised. Some women have that preference. So I've definitely experienced it, but I feel like it's a sort of subtle, trivial thing. Like it never really bothered me, but it's occurred nonetheless.
Yeah, I've had experiences in high school, college. People ask me to stop me, mainly women. Like, oh, are you Egyptian? Or are you black in this or black in that? There's always something. It's always black in something else. And I let them know what I am, and they'd be like, oh, that's exotic or something crazy. My name is Dino, and I am biracial. I don't want people to think that I'm like split between being black or white. I acknowledge that I'm mixed and I'm biracial, but for the most part, growing up, I was always considered black. I consider myself black. My family did as well. So I don't think we should live in a colorblind society, but I also don't think we should stay stuck and feel like we can't move forward and still thrive and accomplish things because of our skin color and where we live in America.
And that is why we don't agree with the phrase, I don't see color.
Yeah.
I don't see color. No, I need you to see me so you can try to understand me. try to understand my experiences, my perspectives, why I speak the way I do, why I dress the way I do, why I think the way I do, why I'm cautious in certain environments. I need you to see my color because I'm going to see yours too, and I'm going to try to understand you the best that I can.
I hear what you're saying, and I can understand why people would even say, oh, I don't see color. But in my mind, when I hear that, it's like you're telling me that you're numb to the things that I go through in today's society. You put me in a box with everybody and think that I'm equal enough to say that what he go through and she go through and what they go through, I experience as well in a sense. But in reality, there's a limit to certain things that I can only really do. And that you gotta see me.
Right.
You feel me? Like, you gotta see what we go through. You gotta understand my mindset and why I can say certain things and why I talk the way I talk. You know what I'm saying? Because you gonna go around other people and not experience this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like oftentimes they'll say it to try to make you feel comfortable, and let you know that they accept you and that they're not racist. But no, I need you to see my color. I need, like, for my white friends, especially in college, they came to me a lot to understand our issues. And I respected that. Because, you know, in college, I wasn't who I am today. I was very, I don't want to say ghetto-fied. I wasn't ghetto-fied.
What was it then?
But I was young. I was 17. You know, so I'm fresh off the block. I'm in the real world for the first time. I ain't got to listen to nobody. I'm in college. I got my own car. I was Boniqua.
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 That's the one.
Yeah,
Boniqua.
I was Boniqua. So they came to me a lot of times to understand the black experience respectfully.
Yeah. I mean, but again, you still got to see it though. Like, people who say they don't see color, you got to see color because you got to know how to defend me if you want to be around me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna need you to speak up to your mama if she called me a derogatory name. So you can understand that that's not okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's just not to white people. That's for anybody.
And I'm not changing the way I speak either.
Nah.
Unless we're in a professional environment. Okay, you gonna get all this little sass. That right?
Because it's personality.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's who you are and what made you get to who you are today. So I feel like you have to see me.
Yeah.
You gotta see me.
Yeah, so this was me in my my thesis. This was me and my thesis. I had a little sass and all that too.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was professional in some moments. And then I went into Boniqua in other moments, and
you be turned.
Yeah. We're gonna have fun, all right?
I would just have a question for everyone who stepped forward. I'm just curious how that's like. What's it like?
Exhausting.
It sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I think black women historically have a really interesting relationship with desirability. Culturally, it seems as we're not desired. And then when we are, we're being fetishized. So it's like, okay, we're usually not desired, but now we are. Am I supposed to lean into this fetishization?
I think just being a woman, you know, we deal with certain things every day. Specifically being a black woman, being fetishized, it's interesting because if I, especially in my industry, because I'm there to work and be professional, I'm just super professional and I don't give any attention to that at all, that kind of energy, then I'm an angry black woman.
I feel like this topic is so 2023.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you can really dive into it because you have social media and you have a lot of panels these days and conversations where people really want to dive deep into these levels of things and they're asking women, what else do you have to offer? You know what I'm saying? And then you also have these group of women who want to choose and who choose to be independent and strong and you know, women, because it's like what they're being handed by society is like they don't want to have to go through that. So they feel like they have to just go out there and get it on their own.
Right, definitely.
So yeah.
It's exhausting.
Oh, I think that it's just really...
you can't win.
It does feel like that, so yeah, that you can't win sometimes.
Yeah, and there's also a flip side to it. It's like, for me specifically, I'm light-skinned amongst majority dark-skinned people, and people will deem me or deem other light-skinned people as a certain way, as either weaker or less than, or just like, okay, you're lighter than, so we're going to be so pro-black that we're not going to, consider you as one of us, you're just other.
Well, that like touches just on beauty standards in the black community, and that's colorism. Like, I've even been told, you're beautiful, you're not black. It's just like these little things.
Yeah. Or you must be mixed with something, right?
Yeah. My name's Christina, and I'm biracial. I have been fetishized for the color of my skin on both sides. black men will be really into me because I'm light skinned, or other men who are not black might be into me because I am that black girl, but maybe I'm not too black, and that for whatever reason is appealing. Being deemed as exotic or something other is just very problematic, and that plays into a lot of issues of colorism within the black community at large.
We need reparations for the black community.
I don't think people need like individualized like paychecks. Like I don't think that's gonna work. But I think pouring funds into communities who could really use it, building jobs there, more education there, more opportunities would do so much.
Right.
I'm sorry, I gotta mention reparation is in a very important conversation. I understand what they mean by it, but you gotta look at everything that went down in recent, things that happened. Look at the stimulus. Where did it go? What did y'all do? Look at the PPP loans. What happened? You know what I'm saying? What did y'all do?
That was because of the economy.
I understand that, but when it comes to being handed money, like she said, she don't think it should be a check. Like there's so much more things that can be invested in that can really help benefit people thrive. Like I had mentioned one time, the school systems need to have some level of psychology lessons where people can go through this form of understanding life better. You know what I'm saying? Like
understanding children,
understanding different races, understanding different walks of life. So when you have these interactions, you're not blinded by another person's actions. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because all children do not learn the same.
Facts. I understand. I see what's going on here.
Yeah, hold on a minute. I got something to say. Because if I was given a reparations paycheck, that's a disservice to my ancestors. What I'm going to do with it? I wasn't the one working. Pour into our neighborhoods. Pour into our schools.
Yeah.
Pour into the funding resources. Statistically, black schools that are in hoods get lesser resources because of the homes that surround it. The property values are low.
The property value.
Let's pour into our schools. Let's create some equity amongst the neighborhoods. The pour into the cities that don't have as many movie theaters and things for children to do, and funding for people to go to school. Trade schools. Pour into the community. Don't give me a paycheck. If you want to give reparations, uplift my community. Take off the systemic racism. Okay?
Yeah, I feel like
it's my people.
Yeah, the dollar is fine and all, but at some point, it's just gonna go in our hands, and everybody's gonna have their own wants.
Right? They're gonna go to Amazon. Amazon, no,
not Amazon.
My people didn't build this country for no Amazon.
Not no Amazon. For real though, man, and I'm not calling people selfish, but people look at what they need first,
right?
Before they think about what's beneficial for everybody. Because at some point, everybody was placed in a box where they was looked at as animals. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's deeper than just getting $1, bro.
Give us our 40 acres in the mill.
Yeah,
that'll help.
I see it should be. Anytime that black communities in the U.S. try to, pull themselves up by the bootstraps, they were attacked. I think it was in Tulsa, they bombed the city. Black Wall Street, it was completely destroyed. So again, something needs to be done.
When the Civil War ended, there was a representative from Ohio, I can't remember his name, but he was a radical Republican and advocated for the phrase 40 acres and a mule for every emancipated slave. So there was supposed to be reparations, and there never was. And I think especially as a Jewish person, Jews received reparations for the Holocaust and are still receiving them. And in my mind, there's no amount of money that will ever undo the wrong of the Holocaust. So that all the money in the world will never make it right. But I think the idea and principle of reparations is good. Logistically, I don't know how it would happen.
Bro, and another way I could put it is just the reason why the dollar isn't going to be as beneficial if it's just given to a person after all that went down. Because look at it like this. Imagine a woman, she gets cheated on, she gets abused, she gets mistreated, left, you know, for everything, and then he tried to come back and make it up to her by handing her a check and taking her shopping.
Oh no.
Would she be accepted? Like, would you be accepted for that? You know what I'm saying?
Some will, but they gonna mismanage it. Oh,
it's not even about mismanaging it. Right. I think she's just accepting the fact of this is what happened and it can happen again because I got a check.
Right. He beat me, but girl, he take me out to eat, girl. Girl, he help me go shopping and stuff. I don't want our people to mismanage it. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, that's all it is.
And mismanage it, and we still have systemic racism in place. Take that out.
A lot of things in place, not just a lot of things. There really won't be much growth.
What that's gonna do?
I think it would go like. I think it would be wasted faster.
Right, and a lot of people don't know how to manage money.
Yeah, we don't have that in our systems to manage money. It's not taught. This is what you're supposed to do when you get a check. This is how you make it. This is how you flip it. This is how you deposit it. This is how you build your credit with it. None of that stuff is actually put in place. You have to wait till after high school, after you get a college degree, and learn that stuff, and then you go to one of your homies or your friends, and they help you build your credit. Right. Because you ain't taught it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Unless you have people in your life that will teach you those things. I just don't want our people to mismanage it if we were to get reparations that way. Yes, that would be nice to look forward to that, but
everybody be flashy.
Some people will only look forward to that. Some people will be like, "Oh, I'm going to quit my job. I got a check coming every day every month on this day."
Now let me see how I'm gonna flip it.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna invest it in. No, that's gonna work. What y'all wanna eat?
Let's go on the trip.
Let's get it. Let's go.
No, I want my people to be able to really prosper if we was given reparations.
Yeah, and we said that in the most positive way ever because that's how you gotta look at it. Don't look at it as it's unbelief, like they downing us and stuff like that. It's not that. It's like there's ways and things that really need to be looked at before we say. Right. I want to hear everybody's opinion.
I just wanted to say the reason I stayed back was because I wasn't entirely sure what was meant by reparations. Okay. But your example of the Holocaust, I would say that I agree.
Similar reason, when I think of reparations, I think of something similar to a stimulus check. My worry is with the lack of financial literacy, will we actually make strides? So I would love the idea of investing money into programs in underserved communities, something like that. But I do have a fear that even if we did have the money, without that generational knowledge of how to take care of our finances, that it would just deplete and defeat the purpose.
But even if that were to happen, though, I still think that would still be the right step. We'll give these people the funds or whatever. We'll give them our promise, and if they float or sink or whatever, that's on them. At least we as a country took the right step.
I'm all for money going to the community. I am for that because the communities right now are the way they are because of things in the past. Mm-hmm. But to give out checks to individual people, there's a difference between learning from the past and then still getting caught up in the past. I mean, if I had a time machine, I could go back in time and be like, hey, you never gave us the 40 acres and a mule. I would be all for that, and I would get on that for the people who were affected and actually went through slavery. But in today's age, no one's experienced it and gone through it. Yes, the communities are. So I mean, I've never.
You don't think
that goes back to what you said because my ancestors. You know what I'm saying? How's that benefiting my ancestors?
Right. I would have
they all had to go through it. You know what I'm saying? And then when they finally was free, they wanted their 40 acres and a mule. That's the first thing they went for. Mm-hmm. They wanted their land, their cattle, their gardens, their freedom, their homes, the mansions. They wanted everything back. You know what I'm saying? It's like they still had got it all stripped from them. Yeah. Even more afterwards. So it's like, I'm going to just give you a few dollars.
No, that ain't gonna do anything. That ain't gonna do anything. We're still gonna talk about what our people went through. We're still gonna be in lack because of the things we don't have. And also, there are a lot of us who don't live in the underserved communities anymore. So I just feel like the systems that are in place is where the reparations need to be focus on. The systems that are in place that keeps us in the place that we are on a median level is where it needs to be.
I find it interesting that the lady in the middle, when she came in, she basically agreed to everything that we just said.
Right.
But then the other sister with the afro said, I agree with you, but I still would want the money, and whoever sank.
I don't like that.
That's different.
The people with the Holocaust, like that's more of a recent history than it is for our people. You know, no. I didn't go through that. Yes, I still feel the effects of what my people went through, but I didn't go through that. I don't have no markings on my back.
Take it and then open up a door that's not going to just bless you for a few months or a few years. Take it and make it to where a door is open to where it's going to bless you, your kids' kids. I feel like that's what they would want. They would want to see everyone that's coming into it be benefiting from it instead of you just benefited and then you little, you know what I'm saying? And then whenever the babies get involved, they're kind of scraping again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's different to hear her say that, though. That was like...
I don't want that.
I wouldn't want people to still have to suffer. If that's the big benefit that we were supposed to all receive, I wouldn't want a few of them down the line not know what to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It just wouldn't... I don't like that.
Your ancestors experienced slavery?
I think they do, but I haven't. I've never been in it, so why should I get a check from somebody else who never put it? You should be going way back.
So what about the people who are the descendants of the slave owners who are still reaping the financial benefits of your ancestors who slaved in those fields for literally generation after generation? You don't think that during that time your great-grandfather could have been building a business that could be flourishing by now? And you would have a multi-million-dollar franchise as they do off the backs of others? You don't think that deserves some rectification for you in the present time?
To be honest, no, because it's something that happened in the past. Again, I haven't experienced it. I'm doing fine right now. I'm doing fine. And I'm not going to be all upset over somebody else's ancestors who I don't even know who enslaved my ancestors. I don't need it. I have no reason to have it.
So for me personally, I'm not upset about it, but I do feel my grandfather, on his side, they were the first family in the state of Texas to actually file for reparations. And for me, I'm succeeding in spite of that. But to this gentleman's point, when the government says, hey, we're gonna do a thing, obviously the government in itself saw the weight in the air of the wrong, just as the German government did. I think if I want to buy 90 gold chains, that's my business. I think it would be unfortunate, but I think that if I'm entitled to something, I think it should be in the same fashion that the people of Jewish descent got it. I think it should be in the same fashion that the people that are Japanese descent got it. So you might think it doesn't affect you, but overall, I think that we have been greatly impacted by slavery, even up to current. I just choose not to focus on it nonstop so it doesn't become something that holds me back. But I definitely think it's something that we're entitled to.
Right.
Thank you.
Great, guys.
Woo. That was a tough one, man. Woo, Lord.
The way that ended, yeah.
Yeah.
If it came in the form of money, and we had to say yes to it, of course.
Oh, I ain't turning it down now.
Of course. I know what to do.
Right.
I know what to do.
Exactly.
You feel me? We know what to do. But at the end of the day, it's like the gentleman was talking about I wouldn't take it because I didn't go through it. It's like, I don't know, bro. I don't know how to respond.
You need to go to a couple African-American museums.
He probably wants to still say the same thing. He's like, I never went through it.
Historic sites, and go talk to some elders and hear some stories, some more stories. Because whether you like it or not, it's going to affect you either now or in the future.
Oh, he going to need a wake-up call.
All right.
Yes, sir. I hope this was an understanding for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What we just had to all speak about and listen to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is hard. All right. So, we hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We have enabled our super thanks if you like to support the channel that way, as well as our reaction request form is in our description box below. We'll see you soon.
Peace.